Hi there, it's me, Alan Southgate again. This is the second of the videos that I'm creating for you to get some idea about jazz, to introduce you to the music and some of the concepts involved, some of the musical concepts. This one's going to be a bit more practical than the last one. We're going to explore swing rhythm in particular and have a look at that. Which is a really integral part of jazz, as you'll see. Okay, but before we do any of the other practical stuff, let's do a physical warm-up. Get our muscles and bones moving and get ready to do something practical. Okay, so to start with, find yourself a nice comfortable chair to sit in, and I want you to sit up. I want you to sit nice and comfortably, but sit up nice and straight with both feet on the floor and your weight sort of distributed evenly on your bottom and on your feet in the chair. And we'll make a start by wiggling our toes around. You can do that with your shoes or slippers on, it doesn't really matter. I've happened to just have my socks on, that's nice and comfortable. And once you've done that for a little while, I want you to start moving your feet and your ankles. You can shuffle your feet left and right while leaving them on the floor, and make sure you keep wiggling your toes too. In fact, as we begin to introduce different movements, I want you to see if you can keep moving those other parts of your body. Don't worry if you can't really concentrate on that and you just have to stop moving, or you find that you've stopped moving your feet when you've moved on elsewhere. It doesn't really matter, but if you can, see if you can just add to the movement. So we start with our toes, we've moved up to our feet, and now if you raise up your heels while keeping the ball of your foot on the floor, and then lower them again, and we're going to keep doing all that as I say, but we're going to move the knees from side to side. And you can rub both of your knees with your hands while you do this, and that will begin to warm your hands up too. And once you've got your feet and your knees moving, let's start to wiggle our hips around, as if you were like sitting on an uncomfortable cushion and you're just trying to get more comfortable. So sort of wiggle your bottom around to move your hips. And then once we've done that for a little while, you can start moving your shoulders around and your back. You can roll your shoulders, or you can move your shoulders up to your ears and down again. You can roll them back and you can roll them forward, and just move your back around. So wiggle your back, make your spine roll around from side to side. And after that, get your arms involved. You can start moving the elbows, moving around in circles, and then bend the arms at the elbow and straighten them again. And while you're doing that, you can introduce your hands, start rolling the wrists around, open and close your fists, wiggle your fingers. And lastly, gently move your head around from side to side. So at this point we should be moving our whole bodies, a little bit like a strange dance while we're sitting in our chairs. And once we've done that for a little while, we can stop and move on to the next thing. Okay, so hopefully you're all nice and warmed up and limbered up and ready to do some physical stuff, make some music. So, been talking a lot about the swing rhythm. Well, what exactly is the swing rhythm? Well, the best way to demonstrate it is to play one to you. So I've got something lined up. If I just click my fingers, you should be able to hear it. So yeah, that's a reasonable example of the sort of swing rhythm that you would hear a jazz drummer play. It sounds a bit complicated, doesn't it? So we're now going to try and break all that down into its elements and find out how we can do something maybe that won't quite sound like that, but it should sound good enough to accompany some jazz type music. Okay, so the basis of all rhythm is a pulse. So a pulse is what you probably think it is. It's like the pulse in your chest of your heartbeat. It's like the ticking of a clock. It's just a consistent like the tick-tock of a clock. Consistent beat. So the thing with that pulse is each of the gaps between each time I clap, I'm trying to make as close to the same as possible, just like the interval between the ticking of a clock. That's the really important thing. So a pulse can be, I could do a slower pulse. Or a quicker pulse. But either way, the gaps are always the same. That's how the musicians know how to keep time. So let's have a go at playing a pulse together. So we're just going to clap. We're going to do quite a lot of clapping, so I'm just going to say something about that. You could cup both your hands like that and clap them together like that. You get quite a nice big sound. I was clapping before like that, just hitting my fingers into the palm of my hand, so choose whichever way you prefer. And I'm going to clap a pulse, and as soon as you're comfortable with what's happening, I want you to join in. There we go, a pulse. Let's have a quick go at a slightly faster one. Are you ready? So, same thing again, I'll start off, and then when you're comfortable and when you can see what's going on, you can join in too. So. Great. Now the pulse is all well and good, but it's not enough to make up a rhythm. In order to have a rhythm, musicians break down that pulse into smaller groups of beats. Now normally, a lot of the music you would listen to would be divided up into groups of 4. I'm sure you've experienced this when you've seen live music or when you've done other music workshops yourself. People will often count in 1, 2, 3, 4, then you start. And so basically that's called a bar. You divide that pulse up into a bar. The length of that bar is often 4. Sometimes it can be 3, and sometimes it can be 6. Sometimes it could be 5, 7, all sorts of different numbers. But most of the time when we listen to music, it's 4. And most of the time in jazz, it's 4 as well. So what we're going to do now is clap a pulse, except this time I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we start to clap. But I'm going to carry on counting 1, 2, 3, 4 over the top. Okay? So let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, let's carry on clapping. Maybe you were doing this already, but let's count and clap at the same time. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, nice. So again, that's not really a rhythm, that's just a pulse with counting over the top. Now, in order to get the swing rhythm, we have to start adding beats between those numbers. So we've got our pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But we can start introducing beats that could happen in between those numbers. And I'm going to call those and beats. Okay? It should go like this. So I'll start doing the pulse and counting, and then I'm going to introduce where the ands are. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Here are the ands. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Let's try that together. I'm going to count in just 1, 2, 3, 4, so on, and then we're going to play together. So we're going to clap and say and between the beats if we can. Now, if that's a bit too much to think about, you could just clap, or you could just count and say the ands. Up to you. It's quite nice if you can do both together, but don't worry if you can't. Here we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Great. So this time I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to count to 4, so as we know how fast we need to play. And then we're going to clap the 1, 2, 3 and 4 and the ands in between. Okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Great. So that's very nice, but it's not really a swing beat. What we need to do in order to get a swing is shift those and beats from being right exactly halfway between each of the number beats to slightly closer to the next number beat. Now, in the pack that was sent out, I found a phrase, underpants, which I think when you say it and repeat it, you kind of get a sense of a swing rhythm. So we're going to look at that in just a moment. But I'm going to start by having a little chant, some words that we can say that sound pretty much exactly the same. They've got the same sort of rhythm as the numbers and the and beats that we just did. So we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So let's try doing this for a moment with that in mind. Let's try chanting the word robot over and over again. So it sounds like this. I'm going to count to 4 and then we'll start saying robot. If you're not quite sure what to do, then just listen to me and then you can join in after a moment. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Robot, 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 robot. Okay? So that's a little, well, it's a word that has the same rhythm as that straightforward thing that we were just doing. So, as I said, the swing rhythm means that between the number beats, the 1, 2, 3, 4, the ands between those, the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, the ands have to move from being exactly halfway between those number beats to a little closer, to a little further away from the one before and a little closer to the one after. So robot is good for the ordinary rhythm. and I picked the word doctor for the swing. So we've got robot, robot, robot. And now we've got doctor, 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 doctor. Okay, that sort of pretty much gives us that swing feel. So let's do that together. I'm going to count to 4, then we're just going to clap on the number beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to chant doctor over the top. And if it's too much to try and remember to clap and to say doctor at the same time, then just speak the word and just join in with that. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, doc, to 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 doc. So that's the basic sound of the swing rhythm. Now if we get rid of that word, it's a little bit difficult to say, isn't it? Over and over like that. I found I was tripping over my tongue a little bit. But the swing rhythm, actually, if we just clap it, sounds like this. Can you join in? So there we have it, that's a swing rhythm. It's got a little bit more of a nice shuffly feel. It makes you want to move a bit more, like rather than the robot, 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 which is perfectly fine for certain types of music, but it's a little bit more rigid. The swing da, 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 has a bit more of a kind of lilt to it. And hopefully you'll recognise the sound of that one in the songs that we'll be playing. And the other bits of music. So there's a particular way of doing that swing rhythm that relates to the phrase underpants, the infamous phrase underpants that I put in the pack. I tried really hard to think of something different, but the only word I could think of was underpants. So this is basically another type of swing rhythm that's slightly different from the one we've just clapped, the doctor, but it kind of relates to it. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to count to 4, and we're just going to clap on the number beats, and then after a little while I'm going to start saying underpants over the top, and you can join in. And again, you can clap at the same time or you can just chant. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Underpants, 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 underpants. Very nice. But let's get rid of the underpants, as it were, and we're just going to clap that rhythm. Like that. I'm going to count it in, and I want you to join in at the same time, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4. there we have a basic swing rhythm. So now to finish off the video, what I'd like you to do is clap that underpants rhythm while I play the guitar. And just to help you out, I'm going to be playing along with myself using the magic of video editing. So you'll see me clapping along with me playing the guitar. And when it's just me and the guitar on my own again, then I want you to take over and you start clapping. Obviously you can clap with me while I'm on the screen as well. And see how you get on. Obviously you can rewind the video and have another go if you need to. Yeah, and this brings us to the end of the second video. So once the guitar's finished, that's it, and I'll see you again for video number 3. 1, 2, 3, 4.